Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla, and for today's video, I'm going to be talking all about Salesforce. Throughout the last few months, I have received quite a few requests to make an updated Salesforce video, or I've just received so many questions about Salesforce as a whole. A few weeks ago, I did post in my community tab saying that I would be filming this video and to pop any questions there if you had any. I did receive quite a few questions that I've already addressed in other Salesforce videos, so I will have those linked in the description box. Those videos are very long, but I have chapters for each of them, so you can literally click into the timestamp that you want to watch, like whichever part of Salesforce you're interested in, it's probably in those videos. A common question, not only on YouTube, but also just in the real world, is what even is Salesforce? Someone mentioned that they've tried to look up what Salesforce is or they've researched it before and it's just very vague, but that's because it is such a big product that there is no detailed enough answer for you to understand until you actually get into it. But I will try to break it down in simple terms and give y'all some examples. So Salesforce is a CRM. This is a customer relationship management platform. So it's a whole platform. And there are many companies that use Salesforce as a platform in order to manage their customers. But you can also manage many other things. So customers is like the main focus, but you can also manage your products within there, your sales of those products, your leads. You can have websites through Salesforce. There's just so many things. The possibilities are practically endless with Salesforce. So let me give you a specific example, and I'm going to basically use one of my clients that I work on most frequently, and I'm going to pretend that I am a customer of this client. So I go to their website, just their regular website. That website is not through Salesforce. It's like a WordPress website and holds everything about that company. However, on that website, I see that they offer memberships. So I want to be a member at that company. So I click this button or I click this link and it takes me to a form. And now we are in Salesforce. So this form, which was built in Salesforce, it's a flow, a screen flow. So on this form, I'm going to enter my information. This is going to be my first name, my last name, my email, and my title. And then I'm going to click Join Now. Now what's happening in the background is a contact is being created in Salesforce. So now this company has my contact information. So even if I don't continue with that form, because that's not the last of it, you still have to provide more information. Even if I don't finish that, they have my information within their Salesforce so they can see, oh, this person was interested, but she didn't finish filling it out. So now that's basically like a lead. I could reach out to this person and get them to complete the purchase. But anyways, let me back it up. So let's say I clicked that join button and now I'm taken to another screen where I have to select which membership I would like to join. I have to enter in which company I am associated with. I have to select a few options, my gender, just a few other options that are specific to this company. And it's basically like my interests or whatever. They're collecting more data about me. And then I click next. And then that final page is where I pay. So I can enter in my payment information and that is tied together with Stripe. Now all of that information that I just entered is going into Salesforce. And then I'm going to check out on that last screen, which that is an integration between Stripe and Salesforce. And my purchase of that membership is going to go into Stripe and it's also going to go into Salesforce. So now in Salesforce, you can see my name and information, everything that I had entered on that form. So I'm an existing contact. You will see that I am associated with whichever membership that I signed up with. You'll also be able to see the transaction that was completed through that Stripe form. And then on that transaction, I can actually click into a link to take me to Stripe and see the transaction there. And now as a customer, I can log into a community portal, which is also through Salesforce. There's something called Experience Builder. So yes, this company that I just signed up for a membership with, they do have a website through like WordPress, but they also have a community website that was built in Salesforce, where now I'm a member of this group, and I can go in and interact with other members. I can read specific knowledge articles, I can see what events are coming up, and a number of other things. Like if I want to update my public profile so people can see where I live or what I do for a living, or any information about me that is allowed within that website. And then whoever has the correct rights within Salesforce for that company, they can control what goes on in that community. So going along with that same example, let's say the person who just signed up for that membership and they're logged into the community, maybe they're in that community for a few months, they're part of this membership for a few months, but then they're like, I don't really feel like being a part of this. They've been paying month to month, or maybe they even paid annually, but then they reach out and say, I am no longer interested, I would like to cancel my membership. That is something that someone with internal Salesforce access can control, where they can go in and cancel that person's membership and then give them a refund. A lot of times it is tracking customers, whether that be leads or contacts, and then also tracking opportunities from those leads or contacts, and then any products that the company offers, or memberships, it could be services. There are many things that you can track in Salesforce, and that is why it's so difficult to just define exactly what it is, because whatever it is that somebody's looking for, you can probably do it in Salesforce. I talked about that for way too long, more than I wanted to. A lot of people also don't understand what a Salesforce consultant does. I have talked about this before, so again, I will plug those other videos, but let me just say that I do not work at Salesforce. Salesforce is a company in and of itself. You could go work at Salesforce if you wanted to. If you go on LinkedIn, go to Salesforce, their actual company page, and then go to jobs, and you'll see what jobs are available. Do they have consultants themselves? Yes. Do they have admins themselves? Yes. They have developers, architects, all of these things. Honestly, I have no clue what that entails. Like, that is just, I don't know. Genuinely no idea. Is it similar to what I do? Maybe, but I've never worked there, obviously, so I'm just not too sure, and I really don't care to find out. Me being a Salesforce consultant means that I work at a consulting firm that implements and configures Salesforce for other companies. So all of my clients are using Salesforce for their business. And then my responsibility as a consultant is figure out, not me necessarily, just my company and all of us as consultants, we figure out what they need, how we can help them, and then we implement that in their Salesforce. So this could be as simple as adding new fields. So putting in a new field on the contact object to track the contact's favorite animal. Literally, that's like never happens, but you know what I'm saying? You can literally put something as small as that, or it could be something more detailed where you have to go in and make a really complicated flow so that we can put that flow onto their website, like what I just explained. Sometimes we're cleaning up data for clients. Sometimes we are making processes better. So for example, Process Builder is something that Salesforce used to use, but is now, you can no longer build new process builders, and they're pushing everybody to go to flows. So oftentimes we'll take a company's process, we'll turn that process builder into a flow so that we can eliminate the process builder. Using Experience Cloud, I have helped to build website pages or to edit website pages, like the example that I was giving before. Sometimes we're doing data migration, so it could be getting data from one place and then putting that into Salesforce, or even cleaning up data if there are duplicates. How can we prevent duplicates? We can be putting rules in place so that if you change one thing, or if you put one thing into a field, then it doesn't allow you to save it based off of some rule. Like, it's literally, the possibilities are endless, and there's always work that needs to be done in people's Salesforce because they want to streamline things and make things work better and just be customized to what the company is looking for. And I recognize that me explaining all of these things, or like trying to give all these examples, may make it even more confusing, so I apologize if that's the case, but it's really just that simple. Like, we can do so many things, and that's what I want to talk about for this video. This is going to kind of be like the truth about Salesforce, because there's just a lot that I think people should know about it before getting into it. But really, if you actually are interested in getting into the Salesforce industry, it doesn't matter what you do or do not know about consulting or being an admin or being a developer, because I went into it practically blind. Like, I had no paid experience. I obviously knew what Salesforce was, and I had built some things in Salesforce through Talent Stacker and just my own orgs and stuff. But I had no clue what it took to be a consultant or just working in Salesforce in general. But you just pick it up. Like, you go into Salesforce and you just do it. You'll get the proper training, hopefully, through your company. But once you actually are in clients' orgs, it will all start to make sense, and it just kind of becomes easy. I'm going to answer some of the questions that I received when I posted in YouTube. So first one, have you encountered individuals who don't have a college degree and were able to make it into Salesforce / the position you are in? Do you believe having a college degree of some sort is helpful or necessary to get into this field? So personally, like, anybody that I've spoken to usually has a college degree, but I feel like these days, anything in the tech world requires a college degree of some sort. Like, almost everybody that I work with at my company has a completely irrelevant degree, but companies as a whole, I have noticed, just prefer for you to have a degree. I think they want to see that you can complete something, that you can do hard things, you can do things that you really don't want to do, you know? And I think that's the point behind requiring degrees for jobs. I have seen this across many things though. So like anything in the tech space, they usually want you to have a degree. And let me give you an example. I know somebody who only has their associate's degree, and they actually got hired at a company, and this was literally going to be like a sales position at a tech company. And they got hired, but then they realized that this individual had their associate's degree and not their bachelor's degree, and they pulled back on their offer. They just wanted this person to have a bachelor's degree, even though it was irrelevant to the company, irrelevant to the position. They just wanted it to be there. Like, I don't know. So I can't answer this with like a definite, yes, it's possible for you to get it. It probably is. There's people out there who don't have college degrees and they have a Salesforce role, but it's going to be more challenging. But that's going to be any tech job, I would say. And if you disagree with me, please feel free to comment down below, like what would be a good job in the tech space for people to get into without a degree, because I've personally seen, if you look at job listings, it's always like required a degree, and it doesn't even have specifics. Like, I have a biology degree and this is what I do, you know, and the bulk of the, like I said, the bulk of the people I work with at my company have a completely irrelevant degree to Salesforce. I have had people ask what degree they should get if they do want to pursue Salesforce. Like, you can literally learn Salesforce for free, but yeah, like I said, with the whole degree thing, you typically need it. I would say that would be computer science, or maybe even like, I think the base would just be computer science. Like, that would be sufficient, but I have a biology degree, so I go into way more detail on responsibilities and requirements in my other video, so I'll have that below. Are there remote job opportunities outside the US? Yes, there are. You can look on LinkedIn and just type in Salesforce in your job search, and then you can put location. Yeah, there's options out there. Any tips on how to learn the role / get promoted quickly? I believe I addressed this in that other video as well, because I had talked about getting promoted, I think. I don't know when I filmed that, but I did get promoted in about a year. Literally, you just have to like learn as much as you can, take everything. I mean, it also depends on your company and your manager, because I feel like my manager advocated for me quite well. However, I also really stepped things up quite a bit. Like, I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing in my position. And not in a bad way. It was like, I was basically, I wouldn't say going above and beyond, but I was doing more than I, like what my role was responsible for. And that included speaking up more with clients, doing demos for clients. I would volunteer to work on more complex things, or ask to work on more complex things, and also shadowing people doing stuff so that I could learn more and get better at it. There were some times that I was leading smaller projects, and so I was speaking to the client directly or even just one-on-one, which is pretty big. Basically just proving that you are an asset to the company and are worthy of moving up. This is going to vary by company though, and I do work at a smaller firm, so I think it was easier for me to get promoted within a year, especially having no experience. And then having a really good manager and somebody who respects you is important, and you can't always control that. You talked about unlimited PTO. Is that common? Is the job boring? Unlimited PTO is not common, especially these days. Now you'll see more so flexible PTO, and unlimited PTO obviously doesn't mean unlimited PTO, because then I could just take off every day and still get paid. More so, it's like you have hours that you need to hit. If you hit those hours, then you can take off the rest of your days, basically. For the most part, that's like 25 days off per year in addition to holidays. I think that's about what I've taken. That's about what the company takes as well. But then also I am able to, if I have like a doctor's appointment, it's okay if I go to that in the middle of the day. I just like block off my calendar and keep my manager in the loop, you know? I think a lot of companies do offer flexible PTO still, but I have noticed with companies I have interviewed with over the last year, they have a set amount, set days that you can take off, and they were much lower. So 2 of the companies that I interviewed with, they both offered 15 days of PTO. And I think that's way too little. That's not enough days off. So, yeah. Is it a stressful job? Sometimes. I wouldn't call it like rip your hair out stressful or like you can't sleep at night stressful. I also don't really like take work with me into the weekends or into my evenings. There are sometimes I do work past 5 p.m. because of like deployments and stuff. I've talked about that in my other videos, but it can be stressful, or like if you can't figure something out, I get overwhelmed. It's just the personality flaw. So yeah, those are the questions that I received, and now I kind of just want to talk about a job in Salesforce as a whole and my thoughts around it, because it's not a bad job. I don't regret going into this industry by any means, because I really love working from home. It's opened up many opportunities for me. I've learned a lot. I've met some cool people. I make more money. I have much better benefits, all of the things. But it's definitely not a long-term career for me, but that's definitely personal preference. Like, there are a lot of people who are super passionate about Salesforce and really genuinely enjoy it. So the way that I feel about finances, there are some people who feel that way about Salesforce and like completely nerd out about it, and that is fine, but that is not me. So just be aware of that if you're going into it. To me, this is just a way to pay my bills, and I'm able to work remotely and work from home, and that is very important to me. I'm going to talk about the current job market as well, because I know that's on a lot of people's mind. First thing I want to say here is the worst thing about Salesforce, the absolute worst thing, in my opinion, the certifications. Hate the certifications. I wish it wasn't a thing, to be honest. I wish there weren't so many. I wish they weren't pushed by people. I wish people wouldn't brag about them as they do on LinkedIn and in the Salesforce space. I just hate it. I think it's awful. The other thing I've noticed is that the people who are actually really, really good in Salesforce don't have that many certifications. I was actually speaking to my manager, and we were talking about certs. I try to avoid them. I don't like them. I only have the first like admin certification. I've tried to do the platform app builder. I have failed it 3 times. So we were talking about that like as one of my goals or whatever, like getting another certification. And then I asked her how many she has, and she has just the one admin. And then recently at our all hands, I was speaking to a developer at our company, and he's somebody who I would consider extremely brilliant, especially in Salesforce. Like anything that you need to do in Salesforce, he knows how to do it, and he's a developer, so he knows how to code as well. I asked him how many certs he has, and he went 0. He has 0. He's a developer. So that is just like mind-blowing to me. Now, what I'm about to say doesn't apply to everybody who's doing this, but if you're seeing people get certifications frequently, they're probably not implementing stuff or building stuff in Salesforce too much then. Because what that means is their companies are probably letting them study during work hours instead of actually building in Salesforce, because it's really hard to pass those exams. Obviously, there are some people who are just really brilliant at test taking and are just able to read things and grasp them really quickly and then pass the exams, and maybe they are building in Salesforce as well. But I have noticed that the people who are not actually building in Salesforce get much more time to study while they're actually on the job, so that way they're getting more certifications. But then I see them leave those companies and they're like, my job didn't put me on any projects, I didn't get to work with any clients, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so you have 6 certifications, but nothing to show for it. Like, you have no actual skills to show for it. And I would much rather be in my situation where I just suck at those tests. I don't like studying for them. But if you need me to build a flow, I can do that for you. If you need me to do something in Salesforce, I can probably do it for you. So that's my opinion on that. The other problem is that recruiters are not aware of that. I feel like, I don't know what the problem is, like where it all starts, but you'll see on a job requirement that it will say like, you need your admin cert and your advanced admin and blah, blah, blah cert. I feel like recruiters are looking for people with those certifications because whoever up the chain said that they wanted those. And they're not aware, recruiters aren't aware that they could be doing that, you know? Like, you could have 20 certifications but have never built in Salesforce, and you would look like a better candidate than me, who has 1. And so that is really frustrating. So I think all of that needs to be fixed somehow. I don't think it'll ever happen, but just wanted to call that out in case you're somebody who is struggling to get the first cert or only has the 1. Like, just, yeah, learning in Salesforce to me is much more valuable than the certifications. Let's talk about the current job market. It's not great. I have spoken about this before, but I had interviewed with a couple of companies throughout the last year, and I have not gotten any new jobs. It's also been hard just to even get interviews. Like, I have applied for many, but haven't heard back from any of those. I think if you are getting into the Salesforce industry, it's going to be tough for you to find a job. There are people who have been studying for Salesforce or who already have their certification and they've been getting all this experience from whatever they're doing, but they're still struggling to find a job just because the market is a little bit different right now. It's much different than when I started. I think if you really, really want to get into Salesforce, then it is worth it to just start studying, get some practice and experience under your belt somehow, but just know that it could potentially take you more than a year to land a new job. There are still people landing jobs out there though. There are a lot of companies that want to hire beginners. And I think eventually the job market is going to come back to where it was, and you'll get your opportunity at that point. But right now it is a little bit trickier. I would say that if you're on the fence about Salesforce, or if you feel like you're somebody who's not going to go like all in about it, then you probably just shouldn't go after it at this point. Definitely get your toes wet, like try some things and see if it's even for you. But by getting your toes wet, I would say you've got to give it like a few months, because for the first 1 to 2 months, you're just going to be going through the motions and not have any clue what's going on. So yeah, the current job market is not amazing. It's going to be more difficult for you to get a job. It's also, for me, it's been more difficult to get another job after this first job. And so that has kind of led me to just giving up at this point on going to a different company. I do really like my current company, primarily because of the people, but also the benefits. So I'm like, it's whatever. I'll take this lower pay in exchange for all of the benefits. A 6-figure job is definitely likely though. Like if I were to stay in Salesforce for a few more years, I absolutely would be in the 6-figure realm. But yeah, it's definitely achievable. It's just gonna take some time, some consistency. You got to put in effort, of course, talking to the right people, interviewing, all of that stuff, but you would eventually get there if you actually stick to it. Another little like truth about Salesforce, and I've talked about this before, is that there is just so much more than just knowing Salesforce. Like, there's all these integrations that you also have to learn in your job. I feel like I didn't really realize that when I was first getting started with this. I was like, okay, it's just Salesforce. But there are so many things that integrate with Salesforce, and then if you become a consultant, at least with my experience, you also end up having to learn those things and help your clients implement those things or build within those things. So this would be like Stripe. I got super familiar with accounting stuff. I even had the client like asking me for things that they should not have been asking us, basically. Like it was out of scope, out of our job description, you know, like accounting stuff and GL codes, chart of accounts, rules, chart, whatever. I don't even know. There's also Pardot, HubSpot, Marketo. I'm blanking on things. There's just so many more other things that I've like had to learn in addition to just Salesforce and like how it integrates with Salesforce. Yeah, that has been a lot, and I think a lot of people come into it not realizing that. I don't think the same would be for admin necessarily, unless your company, like if you go to be an admin at a specific company, they may use some of those integrations that you'd have to get familiar with, but I don't think it's like as many as it would be if you're a consultant. But I've learned a lot, which, you know, helps you to, I guess, get a job in the future, you know, a different job. So with that being said, on a day-to-day basis, I feel like I am using so much of my brain power because 9 times out of 10, I am learning. Like that day, I will be learning something new or trying something new. If something isn't working the right way, I have to figure it out. Even that could be something that we built 5 weeks ago and now some bug came up with it, so we got to troubleshoot it. Or it could be something that I'm just currently trying to build and have never done before, or there's something changed. Salesforce is always changing, so you got to kind of like keep up with that. And that's why by like the end of the day, my brain is just like, what is happening? And by the end of the week, it's even worse because I'm frequently on calls internally or with clients. And then the work itself, like you really have to pay attention for the most part to what you're doing. That's why I really like documentation, because oftentimes I can like just have a YouTube video on while I'm doing some documentation, or if I'm like even doing data cleanup, you still have to pay attention, but it's not like it's nothing where I have to super focus, and I really like documentation because of that. It's like kind of gives my brain a break, but otherwise I am usually always like on, I would say. And then the final thing that I want to touch on, which I already did kind of discuss, is that your manager and coworkers are really important. So if you do have an opportunity to go to a company, just make sure that you are a good fit with them. Like connect with the people on LinkedIn, just look at their past experience, or maybe if you can, I don't know, sometimes you can tell just by looking at people what the culture is going to be like, or just having interactions. I think that's really important, and I'm so glad I went with this company because my coworkers have been amazing. Like everybody is super helpful and very smart. They do a good job of hiring here. And that has allowed me to learn things really quickly, and also learn the best way to do things, because I feel like we're very efficient and organized and do things well. Same goes with my manager. She has never spoken to me in a bad way, a negative way, has never made me feel bad. Even if I've made a mistake, she's like, hey, we're all human. Like it's, you know, I really appreciate that, because I don't do well under like stressful conditions, or if somebody's being mean to me, I like shut down. And like I said, she also really advocated for me and tries to put me into situations that did help me to get promoted, or if I need to learn something, she will help me to get there. And that has been key to my success at this company and just learning Salesforce as a whole. Obviously, that's not something you can necessarily control, but something to be aware of as you're looking for jobs, and when you're in your current role, if you're noticing that you're not getting the proper help that you need, or you're not being advocated for, then yeah, it may not be like a good fit for you. Per usual with my Salesforce videos, this is much longer than I anticipated it being, and also very unorganized, so I will have the timestamps that you can click into to pick and choose what you want to watch or listen to. Otherwise, let me know if you have any additional questions. Definitely check out those other videos if you are interested in Salesforce. I go into a ton of detail for those. There's also a free 5-day challenge that you can start with Talent Stacker. You can go to talentstacker.com/Layla, sign up for the free 5-day challenge, and see if this is something that you are even interested in. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one.